I'm Anna. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy my book, The Cloaked Bear. The Cloaked Bear by Anna Yang, illustrated by Grandma Lee. This story was written for kids affected by the pandemic and inspired by the teddy bear hunts that entertain children worldwide. I wrote this book because I knew a lot of people at home were bored and wanted to be entertained. I was inspired to write the book after I saw lots of people putting teddy bears in front of their houses with masks on the bears. I hope you enjoy reading this book. Hi, I'm Parker and I'm a teddy bear. And yes, I can speak English unlike other fuzzy bears. And this is my story about how I saved all the teddy bears. But before I tell you my story, I have to tell you about the specific rules in my world, which are all teddy bears have to find an owner, because if we don't, we would be stuck in a toy store forever, which is boring. I was stolen from my original home, also known as a toy store. At first, I didn't see who stole me. I was frightened until I realized it might be my new owner. But then I arrived in a strange place with teddy bears lined like me in a straight line. Next to them was a giant castle with lots of teddy bears paintings on the walls. That moment, my eyes bulged. I was alarmed because the man who stole me said I was under his control and could not do what I wanted to do. Told me to stand in line and march outside to catch masks with the other teddy bears that had scars, bruises, and even stuffing falling from their heads. I felt too scared to confront the man who stole me, so I didn't say anything. The bears marched outside to catch the masks, but I couldn't see a single mask. So I said to the bear next to me, "Where are the masks?" The teddy bear said in bear language, also known as bearish, but don't, but understand, but you. Then I realized I was speaking English. So then I spoke in bear language and I said, "But where, but are, but the, but masks." He replied, "But there, but invisible, but you, but need, but to, but smell, but them." The masks were floating in the air. I sighed because I didn't like the stench of masks, as they smelled like leftover food. But I had no choice, so I started sniffing around, and surprisingly, they smelled better without people wearing them. In the end, I got a total of 31 masks in 1 hour on my first try. When we were gathering our masks in the blankets we received, I said to the bear who told me how to catch masks, "But thank, but you, before, but helping, but me. But what, but your, but name?" He replied, "But I, but am, but Mickey." We finally headed back to the castle, and the man who stole me said to call him Master. He asked me what my name was in bear language. I didn't reply because I was too frightened, so he slapped my brown fuzzy head and pulled me towards him and looked at my name tag. I realized I was a special bear because I could speak both bearish and English. No one, not even Master, knew how to speak English. I found that Master had a black cloak covering his entire body, including his face, except for his red eyes. Then he announced in bearish, "But I, but am, but leaving, but to, but sell, but these, but amazing, but masks, but for, but money." I got suspicious when he said that, and then I realized he was an evil person. The evidence: bear scars, bruises, and stuffing falling from heads. He slapped me, he stole me, and he's trying to get money for himself. I quickly ran to Mickey to warn him. After I told him evidence that the master is using us for his own money, he said he knew already because he had even more experience with our cruel master. For example, when Master was trying to steal Mickey, Mickey bravely jumped from a 6-foot-tall shelf to escape. But Mickey was too late. Master grabbed him by the ear so hard his stuffing came falling from his poor head. After he told me his story, he asked me how I learned to speak English. I replied that owner of my original home, the toy store that I came from, always told me stories in English and different ancient languages. When it was time to be shut into our cage, I could not bear to sleep in a hamster cage. I quickly ran to the entrance of the castle to escape, but suddenly Master grabbed me by the neck and I fainted. I woke up in my cage. I felt weak. I couldn't open my huge eyes. But eventually, I was strong enough to open them. It was finally daytime and I was craving food. I turned around and found Mickey was sitting next to my cage and said, "Wake up, it's time for breakfast." We headed to the main entrance to see what was for breakfast. My eyes bulged when the chef handed me a dish. It was a dirt pancake with worm blood syrup. I also saw a moldy piece of butter with grayish-blue dots spread everywhere. I thought I was going to eat delicate, fluffy pancakes with golden maple syrup and a piece of butter that melts on the hot pancakes. But instead, I had got disgusting food. I started to gag, but I had no choice because I was ravenous for food. I used my metal fork to grab a pancake. I opened my mouth, put it in, and slowly started chewing it. And it was super bitter. Suddenly, I felt something crawling in my mouth. It was slimy and felt lengthy. I started taking it out and I saw a creature. I grabbed it and threw it. But that was a horrible idea because the worm-like creature landed on Master's cloak. I saw it crawling in Master's cloak and it finally vanished. I was absolutely relieved because Master could slap me like he did on my first day. I decided to skip breakfast with my tummy growling all day long. But when I was walking to the line with the other bears to catch masks, I heard a loud screech that echoed around the hall. It was so loud it broke a lot of Master's antiques. I found out it was a hideous creature that I spit out of my mouth. I stood silent like nothing happened at all. I suddenly saw Master marching in. He was so mad I could see fire flaming in his eyes. Then Master said, "Who put this repulsive critter in my cloak?" I decided to tell the truth because he might find out. I raised my hairy paw slowly. Then when he saw me, he stared at me so hard like laser will come out of his eyes. I tried not to make eye contact and put my arm down shakily. While he was staring at me, he was also holding the beast using his 2 hands because it looked like it tripled its size. But all of a sudden, I saw the creature that he was holding in his hands start to move its mouth. I knew it was speaking a type of odd ancient language because my owner not only told me stories in English, but also in many ancient languages. I have extra big ears, so I used my amazing hearing to listen to what the language of the beast was saying. My ear hearing was excellent. I could even hear a mouse cry. He was speaking one of the oldest languages called Scrummick. The beast said, "Help me, anybody." He came up to me and said, "I'm your master's brother, and don't worry, I'm not bad." Master has turned me into this, a weird creature called a scrum. He turned me into a scrum. I have to go. Bye. Then Master said, "Parker, "Where did you find this foul thing?" I replied that I got it in my food, but suddenly he threw the scrump out the window. I needed to tell Mickey about all of this. I knew I needed a plan to free the rest of the teddy bears. Then Master shouted, "Guards, send Parker to the Tower of Doom now!" And suddenly I saw bear guards marching in, and using their sharp claws, they grabbed me and threw me inside a dark tower. As they threw me into the tower, I quickly snatched the flashlight that was on the guard's belt and put it in my pocket. It was a tiny flashlight that was smaller than a mouse. The guards slammed and locked the door. I heard a sound, and it was not a normal sound. It sounded like a psst. I was super suspicious, so I decided to press the first button on my miniature flashlight, and suddenly it got bigger. Then I pressed the second button, and the flashlight turned on, and I saw a worm-like creature laying there. I recognized that it was the scrump that I talked to earlier, and he said, "Hi, I'm the scrump." I said, "Hi. I apologize for throwing you into Master's cloak." He said, "That black cloak on Master, he never takes it off because the cloak makes him more powerful. I tried to take it off of him years ago. I did it because I found out he wanted to create a virus called COVID-19. That's why everyone is wearing masks. The virus has already started spreading. The only way to free me is to take the cloak off of Master. The cloak is extremely dangerous because it makes the virus spready. But I have a solution. I can tell you the formula to extract COVID from Master's cloak." "Wait, the cloak makes COVID spread?" I said. "Yes," the scrump said. He then proceeded to tell me the tale of how Master found COVID and put it in his cloak. One day, Master found a cloak. He started wearing it and found out it gave him good luck. So he told me his plan to make a virus. I tried to take the cloak, but he turned me into a useless scrump and used a potion he made to teleport to a virus world. When he got there, he told the virus workers what he wanted the virus to be like. He told the virus workers he wanted to be super spready, like spreading jam on a piece of toast. He also wanted it to be so contagious that people had to be quarantined. When it was done, it was placed in a humongous clear jar, as big as a house. But COVID would start shrinking whenever it was used. Finally transferred the formula into the powerful baggy cloak and never returned to our home. "So what are we going to do?" I said. "We have to make 2 potions," said the scrump. "One potion is going to take the virus out of the cloak, and the other will let you teleport to the virus world to return COVID. Now hurry! The guards will be back at dawn." Let's start with the first one, which will extract the virus out of the cloak. We started by using the flashlight to look around the tower. We found eyeballs and cat hair balls in jars around us. I saw dozens of odd ingredients and a big spoon in a pot. Okay, first add these ingredients and mix after. Put it in this bottle. I mixed in 5 fish bones with 2 drops of ghost blood. I finally added a handful of fish guts. I mixed it up until it smelled putrid. For the second potion, I did the same recipe, but instead of adding fish bones, I added bunny bones. The second potion surprisingly looked better. It was blue and purple swirled up. I poured them into my small jars and waited for the guards. When the guards arrived, I grabbed the 2 potions in the scrump and put them in my large pocket. When I arrived Back at the castle, I had to stay in my cage for the rest of the day. All I needed to do was, when Master was sleeping, I would go take the cloak, pour the potion on the cloak to get COVID out, and immediately put the virus in my big jar. Then I would drink the second potion to teleport to the virus world. I waited hours and hours, and it was finally time to take the cloak. But first, I had to escape my cage. I slowly took the cage and found a place to squeeze out. After, I carefully tiptoed around the castle and found Master's room. He was snoring, and I saw the cloak next to him. I quickly snatched the cloak and carefully hurried back to my cage. I closed it so the guards wouldn't think I escaped. All I needed to do was to pour the first potion in the cloak to extract the virus. I tried to take the cap off, but it wouldn't budge. I tried multiple times and it finally got off. But it made a huge noise and I saw guards marching in, so I pretended I was asleep. Luckily, I didn't get caught and they left. I quickly poured the potion on the cloak and I saw a weird-shaped creature coming out, and it was COVID. The COVID was as big as a basketball, but colored vomit green and dirt brown. Many strands of red mucus protruded like antennae. I quickly scooped it into my jar. I opened my second potion carefully and started slowly drinking the purple-like potion. It tasted like grape jam. I started wobbling around and grabbed COVID, 2 empty bottles, and this cloak. The ground started trembling. I started to move vigorously, and I got so nauseous that I almost vomited. I gagged a couple times and fell asleep. I woke up in a brownish-green place with weird creatures walking in different directions. The creatures were walking so fast I couldn't even see them. I just saw blurry figures moving quickly. The place was dark and I could barely see anything. I finally realized I was in the virus world. I started shaking and stopped breathing. I didn't think the potion would work. I quickly ran and hid behind a dirt bush. But after 2 minutes, a guard caught me and grabbed me by my arm. He started dragging me and tossed me into a dark place. I realized I was in jail. I got so suspicious of Scrump and took him out. I asked how he knew all this information he told me about Master and his cloak. He sighed and said, "Fine, I will tell you the real story." My jaw dropped, but I didn't say anything. Then Scrump said, "The real story is I'm not Master's brother. I'm actually his owner. And yes, I was a human before I was turned. He turned me into a Scrump because I abandoned him. He was my teddy bear, and I gave him this special cloak. But as I grew older and more mature, I didn't really need him, so I abandoned him. His goal is to own all the bears because he wants to be an owner." "Wow," I said, "so the whole time you were lying." "Yes," said the Scrump. "Now what are we going to do? We need a plan to escape this horrible place." Suddenly, the Scrump said, "I have an idea." "What is it?" I said. "We can go through the vent," the Scrump said, and he looked over to the vent to the right. I opened the vent and crawled through it. Then I saw a door at the end. I opened it and found virus people flying on pangolins. So I sneakily got out the vent and I got on one of the pangolins. But then I saw one guard look at me and he grabbed me by my head. My head got scraped by sharp claws, but I finally flew. When I got to the entrance of the virus world, I tossed COVID and the cloak away. I decided to drink my potion to go back to Master's castle. suddenly realized I didn't have a potion for going back. My only choice was to go back using the pangolin. So I quickly opened the front door and flew into the galaxy. Luckily, I could easily control the pangolin by using the buttons on it. I pressed the button that said teleport. It showed me all the realms in the galaxy. For example, Earth, Virus World, and more. I pressed Earth and immediately found myself in Master's castle. Now I only need to confront Master. In the castle hall, I found him. I shouted, "Master, I know who you are." All the bears were watching. "I know the story about how you turned a person into a scrump." Then I took the scrump out. "You turned your owner into a scrump because he abandoned you." Master's face got lava red, but he didn't say anything. "And you are a teddy bear. When Scrump was a human, he gave you a cloak and you made a virus that's spreading all over the world." I saw the bears drop their jaws. Finally, Master spoke up and said, "Guard, send him to the horror machine." A creepy guard grabbed me by my 2 arms. The guard dragged me into a large dark room, and suddenly I saw a large bed with sharp knives attached to the ceiling. I saw Master grinning. Then I said, "Please don't kill me." The Master ignored me and started pulling levers down. I was trembling. I saw that the ground surrounding me disappeared and became a pit. Inside the pit, I saw sharks leaping. I shouted, "I know you want to be an owner. I can help you do that." He replied, "There's no way you can do that." "Don't worry," I said. "I'll do it no matter what. Just don't kill me. If I don't turn you into human, I will go back to the virus world to bring COVID back." "Hey," the scrump interrupted. "I think I remember a formula to turn a creature into a human." I tried to make the formula when I was turned into a scrump, but I realized I didn't have hands. "I will give you the recipe for the formula, but you also have to turn me into a human." I replied, "Sure, whatever you want." Master said, "Fine, but this better work." We exited the room and I started making the potion. I mixed together unicorn blood, cat hairballs, and 1 fish eye. I divided the potion into 2 parts. Then in one part, I added Master's hair by plucking it out with my 2 fingers. I did the same with the other part of the potion, but with Scrump's hair. I placed both potions in 2 bottles, 1 small and 1 larger. I handed Master and Scrump the potions. Since Scrump didn't have any arms, I put it next to him and put a straw in the bottle. The Master and the Scrump started drinking it, and suddenly they started transforming into humans. Scrump shouted, "Thank you!" Master said, "Thank you, Parker. Now I will free you and the other innocent bears." "But how?" I said. Master replied, "I'm going to place every bear in their own box, and each bear will be shipped to a random house." Then I asked, "Then what are you going to do after all the bears get shipped out and find new owners?" Master said, "I'm going to use all the money the bears use to catch masks to donate to a laboratory that is trying to create a cure for COVID. I will also try to sign up to help at hospitals that have patients that have COVID." "Wow," I said. "That is very helpful, so we can end COVID." "Wait," said the scrump. "My real name is Sam, and I can volunteer to give Parker a home. I'm volunteering because I want to be a better owner." And of course now I have a home, and my owner Sam put me in front of his house with a mask on. And now when strangers walk past me, they usually wave.